Cosplay. A hobby where people of all ages dress up as their favorite fictional character, whether from a movie or show, a book, a comic, a game, or even their own original character, whether just for fun, conventions, outings, or just about anything in between. It's a fun little hobby that can be for everyone. I've been cosplaying for 3 years now, but in that little time, I've accomplished a lot. I finished my Mandalorian cosplay, wore it while riding a horse, made armor for my cat and my best friend, went to our first convention, made armor for a horse and rode it in my armor, went to another convention, and made a second cosplay, Simon Ghost Riley from Call of Duty. But what now? Now it's time for something new, something original. I present Cowboy Mando. Now, with an idea in mind, it's time to bring him to life. First, we have to make a design. This is one of the hardest parts, as there's so many decisions. After we get the design down, next we need materials. We're going to need 5mm and 3mm thick EVA foam, leather strips, Velcro, spray paint, acrylic paint, filler primer, hot glue, cushioning foam, a shirt and pants, gloves, boots, a poncho, a visor, and of course, a 3D printed helmet. We're also going to need a glue gun, a heat gun, 120 grit sanding discs, a handheld sander, an X-Acto knife, and some scissors. Now we can begin. First I'm going to trace pre-made templates onto the 5mm foam for the armor, and then cut them out as precise as possible with the X-Acto knife, trimming up anything that needs to be with some scissors. Once all the armor pieces are cut out, I heat them up slowly with a heat gun, making them more flexible and easier to shape. Next I start putting the chest plate together, using the hot glue to secure the foam pieces together. Now onto the gauntlets, one of the hardest parts. I size them, then cut them out, making sure it'll fit. I shape it and glue it together, creating a nice snug cylinder. Next, I start prepping the armor for paint, which is taping off sections of the armor which I don't want to be a certain color. I did this 3 or 4 times before each different color of paint. After all the armor is painted and dry, it's time for details. I started out by adding my own signet, a cow skull, to the shoulder pauldron and chest plate. After that, I started adding weathering to all the armor, starting off by creating areas that look like they were scratched or chipped paint. Then I take some black paint diluted with water and dab it over the armor. This creates a grungy and dirty look. Then it's time to add the Beskar heart. Now it's starting to look like a true Mandalorian. After all the armor is complete, it's time to attach it. For this step, I cut out 2 strips of Velcro, attaching one to the armor and one to the undersuit with hot glue. Once all the glue has cooled, it's time for our first test fit. It's looking good, but we're still missing some things. Now it's time to start working on the helmet. I start off by sanding it. I didn't have a proper sander for most of this process, but I highly recommend one. After a first good sanding, it's time for a coat of filler primer. This helps fill in all those smaller print lines. Then another round of sanding, followed by more filler primer, then a regular primer. After all that, it's finally ready for paint. Just like the armor, it's a series of taping and painting until everything is done and dry, ready for the next part. Next, I start weathering the helmet, once again creating that scratched and chipped paint look, followed by the grungy look. Then it's time to put all the pieces together, once again securing them with hot glue. Then I secure the visor into the helmet. Now this is really coming together. Now it's time to make all the little things. This really makes a cosplay come to life. These are a knife, a sheath, a blaster, a holster, a bandolier, a rope, and a poncho. Not that poncho. This one. And after one final test fit, it's complete. All in all, I'm super happy with how this cosplay turned out. I can't wait to get out and wear it to a convention this summer and hang out with some awesome people who share this one-of-a-kind hobby.